Hi, this is Sive Morten with the daily update on EuroFX. I post my exclusive market overviews with the key political and economical events, charts, and important levels on the ForexPeaceArmy.com forums weekly. This short video is a response to rapidly changing situation on the currency markets and should help you to stay on top of the game and be profitable. I suggest you to visit ForexPeaceArmy.com forum and read my analysis for the week before watching this daily video.
Welcome back, everybody. So it's first Monday of the 2022. As usual, we prepare the update on the Bitcoin market. Hopefully you've got the good holidays, good time with your family. And take some rest, actually. So what we have currently on the Bitcoin market? The most tricky moment, guys, although it is not very common to our analysis stance, it's a bit curious on the high time frame chart, I mean the monthly chart. And this is very important, tricky moment. Just because, if you remember the whole time that market was forming this retracement, we talked about the grabber that should be formed in December that could bring the real background for a possible technical setup. So, and on the Bitfinex chart, you could see that indeed this grabber has been formed. Because difference between the MACD line here and the close price of December stands for just $100. So very small difference. So minor pullback has happened, and that was led market to create grabber here. Here is on this picture, everything looks good. So we have the grabber, we have a validation point that stands here, confluence, and this background led us to expect or count on another leg up and to form kind of the godless triple to, free drive sell pattern with an area around 76. So that supposedly should be next top on the Bitcoin market. But the problem is that Bitfinex led traders to make trades within the holidays. It's a 24/7 trading style. And if you will take a look, for example, on the futures on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange on the Bitcoin, you will not get any grabber. And here actually market even hasn't touched the line here. So the lows of the December stands above the MACD predictor line. That makes really tricky combination. It means that based on the futures, all our suggestion and major detail, major part of the puzzle, it's like no exist, or at least we have some doubts that it really exists. If it indeed stands so and we do not have any grabber, the only thing that we could rely on is a strong confidence monthly support. And if somehow market will break it down, that will be the idea that, well, this just means that market will go lower. And our bullish context, bullish step that based on the most recent price behavior in 2021 will be erased. So it will be some switch to absolutely new background, new context of the market just could start to form if market will break the confluence and taking out December lows. So here with this pattern, still lots of questions, and that should be clarified in the nearest time. Also, guys, here I have brought the tool that we use on the other markets. This is yearly pivots. So pivot point stands for 7.905, 48 approximately, very close to the current market. And depending on what will happen around 48, it also could tell us what to expect. If market will be able to go above the pivot and start dropping, well, supposedly it could mean that market could go to the pivot support one. This is based on a pivot framework that actually agrees with the major 618 support in this year. What's important, upward continuation tells us that the next destination point will be at least 67.27, which is actually previous top. So this mostly we use it as a sentiment analysis. So that's actually a very tricky moment that we have on the monthly chart, and it has the direct relation to the fundamental picture that we have in the United States economy. And today we also released the new fundamental analysis for December, which we call as the Bitcoin and the Fed. So actually a lot of investors acknowledge that in recent time Bitcoin has direct relation to interest rates performance, which is actually understandable in the current circumstances. We also even have found that some traders have calculated the regression model that lets you to calculate the price of the Bitcoin compared to the 10-year yield bonds in the United States. And here actually is very important report, because here you could understand how the Fed policy will impact on the Bitcoin price, what the Fed policy will be perfect for Bitcoin rally, what we would like to get, what will be negative signs in the Fed behavior to the Bitcoin performance. So that's what you could find in this report. It's not really very significant, in value. So it's a relatively short report. If you would like to, you could read it. I will put the link in the thread on ForexPeaceArmy site in the forum. So on the lower time frames, currently it's also not a lot of positive moments. So first of all, on the weekly chart, we do not see any bullish performance by far. Trend stands bearish, and market is scoring around the previous lows, forming some kind of the flag consolidation, which also very difficult to call as a positive sign. Nothing else we have on the weekly. On the daily chart, in recent few days, market has formed a bearish grabber. So first has been formed on Friday. This grabber stands under question because it was on a Sunday. So if even we ignore it, this one exists, and this pattern suggests that market should take it out of these lows. That in turn could mean that it might be testing of the previous lows here, as we discussed it. This market stands here. And this maybe within the week or couple of weeks could shed some light on the question, on the tricky moment around the grabber on the monthly chart that we have just discussed. Because somehow, guys, I'm a bit worried about this, and something tells me that it will not turn as positive as it might be. So because on the price action that we see the performance here, well, it stands not really bullish. So we have the sell off, tight calling around the bottom, no clear signs of the reversal. We do not have something of this kind as we intend to get. Well, hopefully the most positive solution here on the daily chart, it might be double bottom. If still grabber exists and market starts reverse up, so if market will hold above these lows and start upward action, some thrusting action, in this case we hopefully will get the double bottom, but somehow I have the real doubts about this. So the daily picture tells us that currently it's definitely not the time yet for taking the long position on the daily chart. We need to see what will happen with these grabbers and what will happen with these previous lows. On the lower time frame, theoretically exists chance that you could try to trade, but with these grabbers in place, it also has, clear risk factor with the grabbers on the daily chart. So you should take it into consideration if you would like to deal with it. So as we said, on previous report, market indeed has shown the bounce up here and collapsed. This performance we already talked about. As I said, what I do not like is the CD leg is slow, reaction on the COP target is too significant. C point is still stands valid, but it stands valid for just few cents. As you can see, this low stands very close to the C point. And as we said on Thursday last week, this type of action mostly stands in favor of possibly another drop. It's just the type of the performance that we have. But as you could recognize here, it's some shape of the hand and shoulders exists. So if you still would like to try taking the long position, despite all the risk moments that we have just discussed, this is the pattern you could try to use. At least the potential loss of this trade will be not very significant. The market stands in a comfortable place on the bottom of the right arm, whereas actually you could place relatively tight stop. So on the hourly chart, that was performance of our free drive. So indeed, market has completed minor retracement that was suggested, hitting the confidence resistance and collapsed. So this setup has worked just perfect. Now we do not need it anymore, and we could take a look at the head and shoulders that we potentially have here. It's something like that. It's so in the style of the Bitcoin market. It likes to show the head and shoulders patterns with the deep shoulders. So the difference between the heads and the shoulders is very small. So that's the fact, in fact, what we have currently. So it seems that somewhere around 46.30, 46.35 maybe, if you would like to take it long position, you could try to deal with this head and shoulders pattern. But we just warn you that chances that market will fail here and start dropping below the head stands significant. So think twice before taking the part with it. If you will be right and indeed market turns up with this head and shoulders, in this case we will get some hope that maybe double bottom pattern starts to form and finally Bitcoin could turn to the upside. But we need some more information to definitely tell that this stands underway. So as you can see, situation stands not very simple. If you're a conservative trader, it would be better to sit on the hands and see some clarity. And a major tricky moment here is grabber on the monthly chart, which is very important for performance, as you understand. So we need to get the clarity on this subject as fast as possible. So let's see what performance we will get in the first week of the new year.